Let's hear from Meet the Depressed.
Good Sunday morning. The inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th president is now just 1 week away. As the country prepares for this historic change in power, we witnessed a rare moment of unity here in Washington when all 5 living presidents came together to mourn the death of the 39th president, Jimmy Carter. But with just days before taking office, even more unprecedented was Friday's criminal sentencing of President.
And by the way, as we pointed out on this week's Useful Idiots with guest Dave Smith, that unity was pretty revolting to watch. I mean, watching Obama and Trump chuckle with each other, given that the Democrats told us that Trump is this existential threat and a fascist. It just shows you how, cynical and unserious our politicians are. Because, of course, if this was Hitler, or Cheeto Mussolini, as they call him, you probably wouldn't be giggling with him at a funeral.
There were lots of amusing moments from that funeral. The part, of course, it's not amusing to have a funeral, but the parts of the U.S. leaders, presidents, vice presidents interacting. Mike Pence's wife didn't want to interact with Donald Trump and Melania. Trump and Obama giggling. Hillary and Bill looking pretty sullen. Kamala Harris and Doug kind of ignoring everybody else. Kamala not getting along, looks like, with Jill Biden. So much drama and intrigue going on in the pews.
Almost more drama between Jill and Kamala than there was between Obama and Trump, which is interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, Obama and Trump look like BFFs.
Yeah. Well, the personal is political, so there you go.
Elect Trump in the New York hush money case, making him the first convicted felon to ever serve in the White House. The judge imposing a sentence of unconditional discharge, removing any punishment or jail time or probation.
The walls are closing in, everybody. Trump got an unconditional discharge. That has been the result of years and years of lawfare against Trump, starting with the whole framing him as a Russian agent thing that didn't work out. Then you had the first impeachment. Then you had the second impeachment. Then you have all these cases, including the hush money case in New York. And what is the grand result? Unconditional discharge. And as I've been saying for a long time, I never thought that the strategy would work out. If anything, I thought it would embolden Trump's claim to be persecuted by the establishment and help him sell this idea, which I don't think is accurate, that he's like some kind of foe of the establishment. And really, he's just a part of the establishment that other parts of the establishment don't think is a suitable steward. And what is the net result? Unconditional discharge. And yeah, he's now a convicted felon serving in the White House, but Teflon Don, it doesn't really impact him. And all these other cases, the classified documents case, everything else, it's all shut down. Jack Smith just resigned. And that's the net result of all this like lawfare mania that we poked fun of here on this show for a very long time.
Yeah. But it's great for, who was it? Les Moonves said that, Trump bad for the country, great for ratings.
That's right. Yes, that's right. That's right. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump addressed the court before his sentence was read.
This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system.
But the most...
I mean, Katie, you live in New York. Do you feel as if Trump's hush money case has been a terrible setback? It's torn New York apart. The people are divided over it. It's torn families apart. Yes.
I don't recognize this city, Aaron. I don't know where I am. I feel like it's taken away my city. Yeah.
Yeah. The day Trump was convicted, it was like a new 9/11. For New Yorkers. It was,
like 5, but imagine 5 9/11s. That's closer to it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Pressing and immediate issue for the country, the deadly wildfires unfolding in Southern California, prompting President Biden to cancel his final overseas trip as president to manage the federal response to the disaster.
Now I speak for the American people when I say, we owe you, we're with you, and we're going to make sure you get every resource you need.
Doesn't that inspire confidence, everybody, that Joe Biden is managing the response, the federal response to the fires in California? Joe Biden, who was decided to make a pun about the response when he was chairing a meeting recently with Kamala Harris, and as he turned it over to her, he said, "Fire away!" Ha 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 ha.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a I mean, but also I'm just glad that Biden was able to do anything given how distracted he was by the good news, the birth of a grandchild, as he
That's right.
mentioned while responding during a press conference to about this fires. He like stopped taking questions, but said he'd always remember this day, not because the world was going up in flames, but because his son's house was safe and because he had a grandchild born. Yeah. All right.
The wind-driven wildfires in the Los Angeles area have been burning out of control, wiping out entire neighborhoods, displacing hundreds of thousands, leaving billions of dollars in damage, and claiming at least 16 lives.
It is safe to say that the
By the way, it's interesting that she says wind-driven. Not a word about like climate change or how climate change fueled mostly, though not like wholly, but by oil companies played a part in this. It's all framed as just a natural disaster. It's wind-driven.
Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
It looked apocalyptic. Not since the 1990s, when Los Angeles was hit with the fires, the flood, the earthquake, and the riots, have I seen such disaster occur here in our city.
As frustration.
I like the way he compared it to the LA riots. Yeah, that's by the way, just a little bit of info about this guy. He is a Nathan Hochman is like hell bent on prosecuting peaceful protesters about it. Excuse me, on when it comes to Palestine. And last December, he said, if you want to shut down a freeway, if you want to shut down the airport, if you want to vandalize college campuses and make it so students can't get an education there, if you want to attack Jews in front of a synagogue in the Pico Robertson area, you will be held accountable. All right. That's who we're
Did he say that about the people who, launched fireworks into peaceful protesters at UCLA?
For some reason he didn't. Or the people who like bash people with their fists and also like parts of the barricades. Don't think so. All right.
Grow and the search for answers mounts. The LA fire chief is now blaming budget cuts and city leaders.
Did they fail you? That is our job. And I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs. Did they fail you? Yes. When a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped.
While President Biden has pledged to deliver federal aid to California for the next 6 months, some Democrats have expressed fear President-elect Trump might withhold aid when he comes into office, a threat he's made multiple times.
The water coming here is dead, and Gavin Newsom is going to sign those papers. And if he doesn't sign those papers, we won't give him money to put out all his fires. And if we don't give him the money to put out his fires, he's got problems. He's a lousy governor.
Now, this week, Mr. Trump stepped up his attacks on California's Democratic governor, accusing him of failing to bring the fires under control.
I think that Gavin is largely incompetent, and I think the mayor is largely incompetent, and probably both of them are just stone cold incompetent. What they've done is terrible.
Interesting choice of words there. They're largely incompetent. In fact, they're stone cold.
Right.
Incompetent. He really tried to put a button on that one. Both Newsom and Karen Bass have come under a lot of criticism. The problem in these cases is you don't know to what extent, like, what is fair criticism and what is just partisan hackery.
Right.
Where people
Exactly.
take it, and everyone does this. Like, everyone takes advantage of a disaster to accuse the other side of incompetence. I mean, there is the case. There was one reservoir that was shut down, and there have been stories of firefighters not being able to draw on any water because there was none.
Right.
We're going to hear from Gavin Newsom soon.
Right. But I mean, one thing that's definitely clear, Aaron, is that, some of this is just partisan, right? Because when there were wildfires in Tennessee, Trump's response was, "My thoughts and prayers are with the great people of Tennessee during these terrible wildfires. Stay safe." So, yeah, you'd think that he would wish this on Californians also, regardless of his thoughts on Newsom. But not so much. I mean, he has a grudge against them because they didn't vote for him. Remember, he said that he'd win California?
Yeah, I think in fact he's insisted somewhere he did win California.
Yeah, he did. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just do want to mention that, while Biden is talking about how he's going to give aid and rebuild everything, according to FEMA, let's see, just so we know that how craftily people are being helped. The cap for individual remuneration given by FEMA is $42,500 as of fiscal year 2024. For people who are uninsured, that's not enough to rebuild anywhere, let alone in LA. So there's going to have to be changes. Yeah.